Okay, let's dive in. We all use words like thankful, grateful, maybe appreciative
Yeah.
pretty often, right? And we sort of treat them like synonyms, just, a nice feeling.
Right, like a temporary emotional state.
Exactly. But what if we push past that? What if we look at gratitude not just as an emotion, but like an intellectual framework, a whole ontology?
That's precisely what we're doing today. We're looking into sources that explore two really key concepts: hamd, which is pure praise, and shukr, which is more like operational gratitude.
Operational gratitude. Okay.
Yeah, and these aren't just about being polite. The sources frame them as fundamental to ethical living, to spiritual awareness.
So our goal for you listening is to get a handle on the precise meanings, what actions are actually required for real gratitude according to these texts, and why it's all tied up with human choice. We're aiming for structure here, not just, warm feelings.
And it starts with a core distinction, a really crucial one. When you receive something, a gift, a favor, who or what are you actually acknowledging?
Right. Good question.
The sources say hamd focuses entirely on the giver, on the zat, the divine essence itself.
Okay, the source.
Whereas shukr, that focuses on the given, the specific feel, the action, or the nimet, the favor you received.
Ah, so that immediately splits things. Worship versus thanks, almost. Let's unpack hamd first, then, this higher praise. What's the definition we're working with?
Okay, so hamd is defined as evgu, medi, sena. It's pure praise, glorification, maybe adoration.
Pure praise.
And the critical thing here is that hamd is only for the divine essence. And this is important. It's performed whether you've received a specific favor or not. It's about the giver's inherent nature, their excellence, totally separate from any benefit to you.
So it's not transactional at all.
Yeah.
It's just stating what is, an ontological thing. And you said it's strictly a verbal act.
Yeah.
Soilum.
It's a saying. The standard phrase, the template, is Alhamdulillah. And the sources point to the Fatiha Surah, repeated in daily prayers, as a prime example of a hamd tadabisi, an address purely of praise. It's formal, repeated, a constant acknowledgement of the giver's essence.
Okay, that's clear. Now let's bring in shukr. If hamd is about saying, what is shukr?
So shukr is gratitude in the sense of thanking a benefactor for something specific you've received and feeling satisfaction for it.
Okay, so it is conditional then.
Absolutely. It's done when something is given. And because of that, shukr has to be both a saying and an action, an ilam. It could be material, spiritual, whatever, but it demands an active response to the nimet, the favor.
So if hamd highlights the giver,
shukr highlights the given, the gift itself.
I wonder if that distinction helps keep things balanced. Like if you only focus on the gift, maybe you forget the source.
Could be.
But if you only focus on the source, maybe you don't use the gift right.
That tension seems intentional, yeah. And, to really grasp shukr, we have to look at its direct opposite, what the sources call kufr.
Kufr. Now, I usually hear that as disbelief, but here it means?
In this specific context, it's profound ingratitude.
Ingratitude. Okay, how's that defined?
Well, shukr is fundamentally about remembering the favor, seeing it, showing it. It's presented as a virtue, a fazileh.
Right.
Kufr is the complete moral opposite. It's forgetting the favor, hiding it, covering it up, even actively denying it happened or that it came from the giver. It's called nunkurlik, a deep immorality, like acting as if the favor never existed or maybe you deserved it. It was all you.
Wow, okay, that's a pretty stark contrast. Forgetfulness as immorality?
Yeah, and this leads us away from just definitions and into action. This is where it gets really challenging, I think. The sources state this principle. The gratitude, shukr, of every favor, nimet, is of its own kind.
Of its own kind. What does that mean exactly?
It's a powerful idea. It basically shifts gratitude from just a feeling inside you to an active, appropriate use of the favor. Real gratitude means using the gift correctly.
Using it correctly.
They call it tefekkuri nimet, contemplating the favor, and ikram enevet, honoring the favor. There's even a verse cited, recall, remember, and narrate my favors. That's an active command, a requirement.
So it's not enough to just say thanks. You have to activate the gift. Use it the way it was meant to be used.
Precise.
Okay, let's get concrete. The examples they give really help here. So if you're given the favor of aqlan, intellect, what's the specific shukr for that?
Its shukr is tefekkur, contemplation. Using that intellect to reflect, to seek knowledge, to understand reality, the truth.
And if you don't, if you use it for, manipulation or just endless distraction,
then according to this framework, you're essentially committing kufr towards that specific favor. You're being ungrateful for your intellect by misusing it.
That really puts a weight on how we use our minds. Okay, what about ilm and knowledge? If someone has knowledge, its shukr isn't just holding on to it, right?
Absolutely not. Its shukr is talim and talim, teaching and learning. Knowledge has to be shared, disseminated. If you hoard it, you're being ungrateful for that gift because its nature is to flow and grow.
Makes sense. Okay, practical stuff. Serve it wealth. How do you show shukr for that?
The shukr for wealth is given as zakat and sadaqah, alms and charity. It's about redistribution, using the resource in a way that acknowledges it's a flow, not just yours to keep.
So hoarding it or using it only for yourself?
Is ingratitude towards that wealth. And the sources suggest it can actually stop being a favor then and become something else.
Wow. And this applies even to our existence itself, our umrun, our life.
Yes. Its shukr is defined as the 5 daily prayers. And for our very varlumas, our existence, the shukr is iman, faith.
So the implication is, if you live your life without performing the specific gratitude appropriate to the gifts you have, intellect, wealth, life itself, you're living in a state of
deficit. Ingratitude. Essentially, yes. A state of kufr regarding those specific favors. And this leads to a really crucial point in this section. True shukr means nimeti asla et mektir.
Isla. To reform, improve.
Yeah, to reform, improve, correct the favor through its proper use. Think about it. If you're given a tool, say a hammer, its purpose is constructive. If you use it to smash things senselessly,
You've corrupted the favor, turned it into a weapon.
exactly, you've turned the nimit favor into a nikmet affliction.
And that's the consequence mentioned. If a favor isn't thanked through proper use, it can actually become a burden, a hardship, a kulfet.
Yes. It ceases to be a blessing and can become a trial, a source of hardship. It effectively turns on the recipient. This whole idea of gratitude of its own kind forces you to constantly evaluate how you're using the gifts you have. It demands reflection and action.
It's a very dynamic system, not passive at all.
Not at all.
And it seems like this act of gratitude triggers a response. This brings us to the divine names, right? Al-Shakir and Al-Shakur. How do they explain the giver's response?
Right. These names describe the nature of that response. Let's start with Al-Shakir. It translates roughly as the grateful responder, or maybe the appreciative responder.
Okay, the responder.
This name means he who immediately recognizes acts of gratitude and provides a swift return for them.
Immediate recognition, swift return. Sounds very direct.
It is. It's linked to power, existence, getting things done. It's sometimes described as a Medinan name, implying a focus on practical, maybe even material returns in this life.
Interesting.
What's really fascinating is that in a couple of Quranic verses, El-Shakir appears in an indefinite form, necker.
Indefinite meaning.
The implication drawn is that the response to your gratitude might be in ways your mind can't even comprehend. An increase or a benefit that's beyond what you could possibly expect or calculate.
Wow. Okay. Then there's Al-Shakir, the abundantly rewarding. Sounds bigger.
It has a wider scope, definitely. El-Shakur is he who rewards gratitude limitlessly, who compensates greatly even for small acts, especially difficult ones. Where El-Shakir might be about the speed and certainty of response, El-Shakur is about the sheer magnitude of the reward.
Why the need for both, if Al-Shakir ensures a response?
Well, El-Shakir is often described as a Meccan name. Think about the context showing gratitude during times of intense hardship, opposition, maybe persecution, like facing shirka, polytheism.
Right, when gratitude is costly.
Exactly. When showing gratitude is difficult, maybe even dangerous, that small, hard-won act warrants a truly immense, expansive reward. That's the domain of El-Shakir.
And the ultimate proof of this, the sources say, is seen in paradise.
Yes. The inhabitants are described as saying something like, "Our Lord truly is a shikr, who leaves no good deed or gratitude unrewarded." It's this realization that the reward vastly outweighs whatever effort or difficulty was involved.
That's a powerful image.
And there's another critical aspect to El-Shakur. It actually makes the human a subject of gratitude, too. It makes humans worthy of being thanked by each other.
How does that work?
If the giver is El-Shakur, the abundantly rewarding, part of that abundance is honoring the act of gratitude itself by requiring that we also show gratitude to fellow humans who act as intermediaries for favors.
So it creates a chain reaction of thankfulness, not just vertically to the divine, but horizontally between people.
Exactly. It underpins the famous saying of the Prophet, mentioned in the sources, "He who does not thank people has not thanked Allah." El-Shakir implies the whole system needs to work. Gratitude has to flow through the human connections as well.
If you cut off gratitude to people, you've broken the circuit back to the source.
That seems to be the implication, yeah.
Okay, this whole elaborate system, the specific actions, the divine responses, it all seems to hang on one thing: choice.
Which brings us to that big philosophical question the sources raised, doesn't it? The ontology of choice. Absolutely. It's the elephant in the room, really. If gratitude is so vital, if kufr leads to hardship, why didn't God just make everyone grateful? Why not compel it and avoid all the negative consequences?
Yeah, I mean, you can see why someone would ask that. If ingratitude causes suffering, wouldn't forcing gratitude be kinder in a way?
It's a fair question. But the answer provided in these sources is, I think, profound. It defines what it means to be human in this view. If humans were forced to be grateful,
Then their intellect, their akal, and their free will, their irade.
would be meaningless, disabled. They wouldn't be truly human. They'd be more like puppets or automatons.
So the value of the gratitude comes precisely from the freedom not to give it.
Exactly. If it were compulsory, there'd be no concept of reward, udul, no paradise in the way it's described. Why reward something you are forced to do? It has no ethical weight. Gratitude must be a choice, a free, sometimes difficult, conscious choice for it to merit the kind of limitless reward promised by Al-Shakir. That capacity for choice is what gives humanity its unique standing.
And that insistence on chosen, active, purposeful gratitude, well, it really contrasts sharply with how we often talk about thankfulness today, doesn't it?
It really does. And the sources don't shy away from that contrast. They offer a pretty pointed critique of what you might call contemporary grateful living, or even some aspects of, say, Thanksgiving traditions, especially when the giver is left out of the picture.
How so?
Well, often modern gratitude gets reduced to a kind of therapeutic technique, right? A self-help tool. Or it's directed vaguely at the universe, or karma, or just good fortune, chance.
Right. There's no specific agent being thanked.
Exactly. The sources call this Fali ol Mayan Shekur, literally, thanklessness without a recognized intentional giver. They even describe the aesthetic of some modern gratitude practices as the aesthetic of forgetfulness.
The aesthetic of forgetfulness.
Yeah, like enjoying the feast, feeling good about the bounty, but completely forgetting or choosing to ignore the source, which, ironically, they suggest leads to a kind of spiritual poverty, even amidst material wealth.
So, true shukr, grounded in these principles we've discussed, absolutely requires recognizing the owner, the source. It takes gratitude out of the realm of just emotion and makes it a fundamental state of being, a hal.
A sustained state that shapes who you are and what you do.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize this. We started with the distinction. Ham is unconditional praise for the giver's essence, a saying. Shukr is conditional gratitude for a specific favor, requiring both saying and, crucially, action, the proper use, the islah of that favor.
Right. And the opposite is kufr, active ingratitude through misuse or denial.
And the response from the giver is guaranteed, Al-Shakir, and potentially limitless Al-Shakur, which also sets up a chain of gratitude between humans. And the whole system depends on free will, because forced gratitude has no value.
Precisely. And the ultimate goal, perhaps, is when shukr isn't just a series of actions you perform, but becomes integrated into your being. It becomes your constant state, your hal, merging seamlessly with hamd.
Okay, so a final thought for people to take away from this deep dive, something to chew on.
Well, there's this promise we touched on, often cited from the Quran. If you choose gratitude, shukr, the giver promises increase. More favors, yes, but the sources suggest something deeper.
An internal increase.
Yes. The Shukr insan, the person living in this state of gratitude, doesn't just experience an increase in external blessings. They experience an expansion of the self.
An expansion of self. How?
If Shukr brings increase, maybe that increase is fundamentally an increase in awareness, in fartkundalak. You become more aware of the favors, more aware of the giver, more aware of your own potential and responsibility.
So realizing that transforms gratitude. It stops being just a duty or something you should do.
And it becomes perhaps the biggest favor of all, because it's the very mechanism through which you grow and realize your fullest human capacity by actively engaging with the gifts you've been given. Choosing gratitude expands you.